Is mind walking your idea?
Well, it is actually. The word is. The method as such is, of course, based on things I have come to know through my various studies. At university, when I graduated in psychology, we did learning theory, conditioning theory. We did Rogers client-centered therapy, and then there was yoga and meditation, and the spirit of the East coming across in the 70s, and out of that formed an approach to the mind which is, on the one hand, very controlled in terms of, as you are reacting to certain things, there must have been a point where you've learned to react that way. So that's the conditioning part of it. And the client-centered part of it would be, I leave you to it to find that particular incident, but just making sure you don't get sidetracked. And then I take the aspect that I take the attitude that this incident might not be within this life, but could be found elsewhere. And that takes us to the Eastern approach of interconnectedness of spirits and consciousness and informational fields. So working with this for 30 years, I mean, I've started working practically in 1975, really. But it took a lot of personal exploration and experimentation to come to something as, how shall I say, as packaged, to give it a certain name, as MindWalking is now. So MindWalking as a term came up only in 1995 when I did a seminar tour through Australia, and they said, well, what is it you call your stuff? And I said, well, it's called personal analysis and coaching. And they said, well, that's too long, we can't sell that. So we settled down for some brainstorming, and up came MindWalking. And then I went back home, and a friend of mine said, no, you've got this term MindWalking, which is a lovely term, but perhaps you should trademark it, because somebody might take this term, and then you've got a running business under that name, and you can just pack it up. So I said, all right, let's trademark it. So I got a European trademark on the term. The method, of course, is, as I said, an open thing. I mean, it's open source. MindWalking trainers who come up with new ideas which appear sensible are, of course, incorporated into the method, and so it's an open system, really. But the term is my term.
You are saying that MindWalking is open source, meaning that other MindWalking trainers can bring in their own ideas. Is there any control on this, or are you the only person to control this?
Let's put it like this. There are certain, I would call it ethical parameters which need fulfilling for a method to be acceptable. So if someone comes in to get trained as a MindWalking trainer, he gets, eventually he will get a certificate. And the certificate means that he is doing something in a certain way. So it must be, in a way, it's a guarantee. It means the client gets what's written up in my books and on the homepage, and he gets certain results, and he's treated in a certain way. Which does not mean that not all sorts of additional methods could come in, which I personally don't know anything about it, provided these methods follow certain ethical parameters. For example, the self-determinism of the client must never be interfered with. So we are not using hypnosis, we are not using suggestive questioning. Yeah? Well, don't you think it might have been a past life? You know, I mean, that's suggestive questioning, you know. Oh, I feel there's your angel talking to you, you know, that sort of stuff is not, it doesn't come out of you. In terms of Rogerian therapy, client-centered therapy, the client has to find his own truth. So I have to ask questions which are open for him to explore his world in a self-determined way. Neither would a method be acceptable that includes interpretation or symbological interpretation. Well, you say you're seeing a bloody sword. Well, that must mean that you have killing fantasies with regard to your mother, you know. Okay, you see a sword with blood on it. What else do you see in the picture? Well, I see a hand on that sword. Well, describe that hand. Well, it's a hairy hand, okay. Do you see any more? Well, I see somebody on the ground. Well, what's he look like? Well, it's a woman, and the woman got killed. And suddenly we get a battle incident, which you tell me with all sorts of horrors, until it's handled and you can talk about it lightly and it's done away with. So I would never guide anyone anywhere. I would expect him to find his own way, and I would support his way, always permitting him his self-determinism. So all methods we are using must follow the main line of no interpretation needed, no invalidation of data. You think it's a spaceship, you must be crazy. You know, that's an invalidation of data. Oh, yeah, it's a spaceship. Now tell me about the spaceship. What's it look like? You know. So I help you to explore your world. And that way, again, we establish clean relationships with aspects of your world which you perhaps never had any idea about. Mm-hmm. So, yes, it's a growing system. Everybody can chip in their ideas, but the regulations are there, and I'm not the one to determine this. We have we have senior trainers. We have a training system with quality control and all that sort of thing. So it's in a way a peer system. You know, everybody being equal to everybody else in determining. I mean, the senior trainers, they determine the course of action to be taken. It's not me being the one and only. Mm-hmm.